Been feeling trapped down on the floor. I don't know what for. Feels like I'm gonna lose. Silence takes a hold. I can't let it go. Chin up, no one knows. But I won't let the stormy sea.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking. If you haven't already subscribed, just hit that subscribe button down below and come join my family on YouTube. Also, hit the like button so that YouTube recommend this video to others who might be interested to watch it. Yeah, do what she's saying to do. Alright, so today I have with me my friend Anissa. Say hi, Anissa.
Hi.
And we're going to be talking about looking for jobs for, at an international school and all of that good stuff. So we know that it's recruiting season now, and everyone is deciding whether they're going to be staying at their present job or they're going to be moving on to a new school, or maybe they're just taking the first step to go internationally. Who knows? But a lot of decisions are being made now. And I just want to give you some tips. Well, Anissa is going to be giving you some tips as to what it is that you should be looking for when you are looking at an international school. Sorry, accepting an offer at an international school. So first of all, Anissa, how long have you been on the international scene?
Oh, wow. Okay, so I did 2 years in South Korea, 1 year in Kuwait, ran away very fast. And then 2.5 years in the UAE, and now this is my first year in Qatar. So it's been a couple of years.
It's around 5.5, 6
You're
years.
the math teacher,
Yes.
I'll leave that to you.
Alright, so 5.5, 6 years. Alright, so what kind of advice would you give to anyone who is like at the crossroads? I want to go international, but I don't want to go. I'm fearful. Would you advise them to go?
I would never discourage anyone from doing anything, and I think you only know what you're capable of when you actually do it. So if you're on the precipice and you're kind of like, should I, shouldn't I, you have to do what feels right for you and go with your gut and your instinct. And if you've already had this thought and you have the motivation and you feel like this could be the next chapter for you, then why not? I always say to people, like, what's the worst that could happen? You hate it and you leave.
Leave,
Okay,
right?
and then you tried it and it wasn't for you. Fine.
Exactly, and at least now you know, right? Now you know. So you made the decision to go. You decided that you're going to go. You've applied to different recruiting agencies, and now you're accepting interviews, and jobs have been offered. What am I looking for? How do I know that this school that I've chosen is a good school? What are the signs that I have chosen a good school? This is somewhere that I could possibly be comfortable.
I think it's important to note that like everybody's experience is very different. So like my advice is based off my experiences. And what I found is like right from the interview stage, you kind of get a sense that the school, as well as they're looking for a teacher, they also want you to like them. So they kind of give you a lot of information about the school. And they're very open to you asking questions and answering your questions honestly. Like if they don't know something, they would say they don't know.
Yeah.
I've also found in the past that a lot of schools would kind of gloss over certain things. Like if you asked, when is the date that I will get paid? And then they'll be like, oh, it's every month. Yeah, we know it's every month, but which date? And this is like a serious problem that I've actually had in the past, so I'm not just making this stuff up. So I think the communication with you and the school is so important, and if you feel at that stage in the interview, like these people don't care about me, I'm just a number, then you need to stop it right there. You need to be 100% comfortable like in the process, and asking questions and feeling comfortable and being in communication with the school, letting them give you as much information as you require.
Okay, so if you're not able to have access to the human resource person or the principal or at least your head of department, if there's just no sort of communication at all, then chances are there's something to hide, and this is not a place that you'd want to be.
I think I don't know if it's something to hide, but to me that signals like they don't care about staff happiness. If they just kind of only interested in you for the interview and then you never hear from them again unless it's like, here's your plane ticket, here's your visa, that's kind of a problem because you know how it is the first time you move. You want to know what your accommodation looks like. You want to know, will I have health care? You want to know like what's near the school? Will I be in the middle of the desert? Because you can be in the middle of nowhere. So it's really important to have that free-flowing, honest communication from both sides.
Okay, I do agree. And what about salary? I know a lot of people move abroad because, well, that was my motivation, along with, access to different areas I could travel. But finances, that was one of my, my major motivations to moving abroad. So what about finances? What do I need to know? What do I need to ask?
Well, something that I have experienced is people always getting kind of paid according to where they come from or according to how they look. So I've been in a situation where people who were not qualified or not experienced, but because they were white and they were from certain countries, they would get paid higher than people of color who had like master's degrees. And I just didn't want to be back in that situation. So when I accepted this job, one of the first things that the school sent me was the pay scale. And it was really based on your years of experience and how qualified you are. It really didn't matter, where you were coming from or what color you were, for lack of a better phrase. So I think for me, a pay scale is super important so that I know the school is valuing my experience and my skills and my qualifications.
And not your nationality or
and
race.
the color of my skin.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's like, for me, I would say if you're not getting a pay scale, ask for it. See how the school responds to that, and that will be another indicator of whether you go forward with this or you don't.
Agreed, definitely agreed. You mentioned earlier, and I do agree that taking up the plunge, moving to a new country can be very daunting at times. And you want to know what other people's experiences have been like, does the school look out for the teachers? Do they have socials and stuff like that? How important is it for you to be able to communicate with people who are actually working there?
I'm so glad you brought this up, because this is like the cornerstone of every piece of advice that I give people that approach me. Speak to someone who is currently working at the school. And I'm going to use this job as an example. When I was preparing for the interview, they sent me like a whole dossier on people working and people that I would be working with currently. And I was able to contact any of those people via email and ask them for their unbiased opinion. So I think for me that was also a huge factor, because I did have access to that kind of information, and the people I spoke to were really honest. They were like, there's good and there's bad, it's all about what you can handle. So for me, the biggest piece of advice is ask the school to put you in contact with someone who's working there. And I don't just mean like the principal, I mean like someone who's going to be in your team, someone who's going to be your head of department. Get a sense of what's really going on, because sometimes if you read reviews and stuff online, it's not really current. But if you talk to someone who's currently working there, that's going to give you a better sense of what's going on.
Exactly. So you've accepted the job, you know the pay scale, they've been communicating with you, you feel like a sense of belonging already, you're able to communicate with different teachers at the institution. But sometimes, and I've had people speak about this experience, it hasn't happened to me personally, but I've heard people speak about this, that you interview with a school, they offer you a job, but you can't find them anywhere. You're searching Google, it's as if the school does not exist.
It does happen. It happens more often than you would think. And this is another really important factor for me. I should be able to find the school online. Like, we are in the digital age. And the school should have an online presence, not just for prospective teachers, but also to communicate with parents, to let the world know that, hey, we do exist. And I think that for me, it's kind of an indicator that the school does exist, number one, because you do hear about scams. I've heard and read a lot about them. I haven't been a victim of one, thankfully. But also to know that they are out there in the community. They're able to post what they're doing at school, so parents can also liaise with them, and prospective parents also have a place to look at what the school is offering. I think a website and a social media presence, if not a website, is more important than people think, because you don't want to go to a school and when you get there it looks like a warehouse. So yeah, that's just something that it should be important and it should exist.
All right, so this is a question that people may not even think to ask. How important is it to know what you're teaching before you get on ground?
And we're laughing because it seems like such a basic thing, right? I interview for a grade 8 and 9 English teacher position, but then when I get there, they're like, hi, you'll be teaching kindergarten. And it happened to me, it happens to a lot of people. So, or actually, they're like, we'll let you know. And then you arrive at the school and you still don't have a clue. And just before you're supposed to start teaching, they're like, by the way, it's grade 9 math. And you're like, I can't add. So it's something to just be cognizant of, that you should have a very good idea of what you're going to teach. Even if the school can't say, okay, you have 7 and 8 English, they should be able to say, you'll be teaching middle school English. So that when you go for the induction or the orientation program that most schools inevitably provide, the materials and resources and information that you gain, you can apply it to what you're going to be teaching. You know, the information might not be necessary to you if you are teaching grade 2 or 3, but it might be necessary to you if you are teaching high school. So for me, it's super important so I can mentally prepare myself for what's coming ahead. And I think that it is possible to tell teachers what they're going to be teaching beforehand. If you're an organized school,
exactly, I was going to get to that,
and you know what's going on, and you actually care about staff happiness. And when you're not telling teachers, it's kind of a warning sign for me.
Yeah, it is, because it definitely shows that you're not organized. Because if you are recruiting, you should know what teachers you want, what positions you have available, or even it's a case where, you know, I'm expecting growth, that you still have an idea what areas am I expecting growth in, you know what teachers am I going to need, so you should be able to say something.
That's so true, and you want the best teachers for the best fit. So for example, if I'm qualified to teach social studies in English, you're not going to give me a science class. It's the same way a dermatologist is not going to deliver a baby.
Exactly.
We have to match the teacher's skills with what they can do so that the students can get the best education they deserve.
And if you're not doing that, then you know that that's just a school that's just in it for finances, and then you know that they're definitely going to penny pinch on everything else, right? That's important. You mentioned orientation. Now, how important is it that a school offers orientation before you actually start the job? Or is it just okay for you to get here, be flown in on December 10, and you start working December 11?
I think in every situation, again, it's different. Because if you are someone that's coming in the middle of the academic year, then it's likely that you would miss out on an orientation.
Well, outside of an emergency situation.
Right. But if you are someone that's starting the academic year with everybody else before the students arrive, you should receive an orientation. You should be discussing the school's discipline policies, the technology that you're going to use, the resources that you will have access to, and of course the basic things about living in a new country, the culture, where to shop, what's the healthcare like, what's the procedure if I want to take leave when somebody passes away in my family. So I think it's like kind of a non-negotiable to have those kind of programs at the beginning of the year in a language that everybody's familiar with and in a way that's easy for the teachers to understand.
I agree. I definitely agree. I mean, so as we mentioned before, definitely moving abroad, it can be so daunting, but there are different things or, you know, several things that the school should do to make your move a bit more comfortable, a bit less stressing. And if a school is offering all these that we mentioned before, then it probably isn't a good for sign. It's a sign for you to, run. And she's doing the skip on ahead. Wait out another year or just decline the order.
Keep looking. Yeah, there's so many schools out there, and you deserve to find one that's best for you.
That's best for you.
And the other thing is, I think it's also important if you're a teacher to have a network of teacher friends. And this is something that saved me in the past, where I've reached out to people who are teaching at schools and I've been like, you know, I'm looking for a job. What's the situation at your school? And that way you kind of really get a feel for an unbiased and honest look at the opportunity that may or may not present itself. So if you have a network of teachers, reach out, use them. And if you don't, get one.
That's been, you know, that was very helpful to me as well too. As a matter of fact, when I got this job, I was so discouraged because sometimes you start the process and recruitment season or recruiting season is ending and you still haven't been offered a position. But I had some friends that I met online and they were so encouraged. I was like, no man, keep on trying. You know, it's an area that's well needed, and I got a job. So join those Facebook groups, join those those Instagram groups, those Instagram pages, join them, ask your questions, don't be shy.
Yeah.
Just put yourself out there. You can never tell.
You honestly never know what's gonna happen.
You can never tell. So guys, we are basically at the end of our vlog, and just to summarize some of what we just went through, you want to make sure that you know your pay scale, you want to make sure that you know what you're teaching, you want to make sure that the school is in constant communication with you, you want to make sure that the school has an orientation planned for you.
And make sure that you have access to someone who's currently teaching at the school, and if the school doesn't give you immediate access to that person, ask for it. Don't be afraid to ask for anything. Contact details, a pay scale, what's your website, just ask the questions and see how the school responds.
Yes. Remember, moving abroad, it's your life, and you want to make sure that you're getting the best fit possible. Alright guys, so this is the end of the vlog. Thank you so much for watching. If you've reached this far and you haven't subscribed, I was like, what are you waiting for? Come guys, just hit that subscribe button. Come join my family on YouTube. And I do hope that this information has been extremely helpful, and that, hopefully someone who would have watched this will be successful in landing their first or their second or their third
Or their best job. Their best job
ever. And again, Anissa, thank you so much for joining me on this vlog.
Thank you for having me.
It's always nice having you here. And I'll see you guys in my next vlog. Bye.